You know, we always read books because we're chasing that high that you get when you read a really good book. And I got that high after reading this book. It was so dreamy. It was so fun. I mean, just take me back. Take me back. If I think about it right now, I feel like at some point I'll start blushing because it was intense. It was very intense. I had to picture Jungkook as the main male character. I did at some point feel very compelled to picture myself as the main female character, but I realized that. Hello, I'm Stacy and welcome back to the channel. It is the month of love, so that makes it the perfect time to share some romance book recommendations, which you can pick up this month or really any time of the year. So I'll share 5 romance books that deliver all the cuteness, all the fluff, all the swoon-worthy moments that you would want in a great romance story. Book number 1 is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This is a book I will forever recommend because it is just that good. It's the kind of book that makes you forget about taking breaks because you don't have to, but you want to keep turning the pages just to know what happens next. The story follows Ava and Shane, 2 successful authors who met when they were teenagers. They had a brief but intense connection before life pulled them apart. Years later, they meet at a book event and they realize that all these years they have been writing to each other through their books. It is called 7 Days in June because after the two reconnect years later, everything else unfolds in a span of 7 days. And when I read it, I thought there's so much that happens in this book for it to only happen just in 7 days. But I realized that doesn't take away from the intense, emotional, and beautiful story that is encompassed in this book. This romance is a whirlwind. It is sweet, it is steamy, and it is wholesome, but it also tackles deeper themes in life. Next is a YA romance that I randomly picked, but to my surprise, I ended up loving it. And I say surprise because these days I do not find myself liking YA books. So when I discovered XOXO by Axie Oh, it was a wonderful surprise. I listened to the audio book while simultaneously reading the book, and I think that is the best way to consume this story. I think the audiobook enhanced the experience because let me tell you, the world building and the atmosphere made me wish that I could step into the pages of this book and live in the XOXO world forever. It was so dreamy, it was so fun. I mean, just take me back, take me back. Somebody give me a way in which I can just transport myself into this world and stay there forever. We essentially follow our main female character Jenny and our main male character Jaewoo. Jenny and Jaewoo meet in LA and they spend a day together exploring the city. When the day ends, they part ways and it seems like that's that and they'll never get to see each other. But then Jenny moves to Korea with her mom in order to take care of her ailing grandma. And when she attends the school that she's enrolled in, she finds Jaewoo there because he happens to be a student in the same school. So if you love the forced proximity trope, there you have it. Oh, and one more thing. Jaewoo happens to be a K-pop idol, but this story is not a story about a pop star with a larger-than-life lifestyle. It more so focuses on just 2 normal teenagers getting to know each other and navigating life together in high school. Given that Jaewoo is a K-pop idol, of course, when I was reading this, I had to picture Jungkook as the main male character. I did at some point feel very compelled to picture myself as the main female character, but I realized that that's a bit too much. I need to have some self-control and maybe some self-respect. Now that I think about it, out of everything that I will mention, if you want something that is fun, something that doesn't highlight dark themes, it's more so a utopia kind of story, then this is your book. The next book is How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kuang. Is it Kuang or is the K silent and it's Kuang? Just like Jose is Jose instead of Jose.
A few moments later.
How to End a Love Story is a romance book with some heavy themes, but it does balance them out beautifully with some more lightweight and happy vibes. This follows our main characters Helen and Grant, who are both writers trying to navigate the storytelling world. Helen's book is being adapted for TV and she insists on being part of the writer's room. When she's there, she meets Grant, and Grant is somebody that she has a very tragic past with. So years ago, something that connects them both, something that was very terrible and difficult happened, and they really did not address it or try to heal from it. They just moved on, and of course they never really interacted until years later when they find themselves in the same writer's room. The writer's room isn't just made up of the two of them, it is also made up of a bunch of other writers, which makes it absolutely necessary that they do their best to be professional and just be as productive as they can. But because they never addressed what happened in the past, we see how old wounds come to the surface, and we see how they find it very difficult to be in the same space because there's a lot of trauma that was never addressed and trauma that simply cannot be ignored. Things get even more confusing when they do realize that they have a certain bond that they wouldn't expect to have given the history that they share. But nonetheless, the bond is there, and now they have to navigate three things: being professional in this work setting, trying to heal through the trauma so that they can be able to work together as co-workers, and lastly, trying to decipher what this subtle bond is that they feel towards one another. A lot of romance books do add trauma to their characters as something that is meant to give the characters depth, but sometimes, or a lot of times, it does feel like something that is plastered on and not something that is authentic. But in this case, the backstory of the two characters and what they have been through is something that does feel authentic and genuine to the characters. That is something that I found myself appreciating because it felt authentic and made the story feel like it has depth to it instead of something that felt surface level. It is a bittersweet story in my opinion because the trauma that was imbued into the characters is very much something that is difficult to even try to think that somebody has to experience something like that. But at the same time, it does have the cuteness, the fluffiness that you would want. And when it comes to the spiciness, oh my god, if I think about it right now, I feel like at some point I'll start blushing because it was intense. It was very intense. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I do not know why my cover looks like this, why it's not occupying the whole screen or like centered in the middle. I don't even know if you can see, or it's just being, or the screen is just reflecting so much. But anyway, I don't know why it looks like this, which is so annoying. I hadn't realized it until now. Still a cute cover though. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. A lot of people say that Abby Jimenez knows how to write a romance book or a romance story with depth, and all those people are correct. If you want a love story that is not just fluff but also explores real human experiences, Abby Jimenez is your author. And Just for the Summer is a great place to start. One thing that makes me sad or disappointed about this book is the book blurb, because I feel like the book blurb does not really describe what this book is truly about. The book blurb makes it seem like this is an insta-love story, and it has some sprinkle of like insta-love stuff, but the bulk of it is something that is more meaningful and more worthwhile. We're essentially following our two main characters, Justin and Emma. So Justin posts on Reddit that once he dates a girl and then they break up, a lot of the girls that he dates end up finding their soulmates afterwards, and he's starting to think that he has some sort of curse of being the person you need to date and then break up with so that you can go and find your soulmate. Emma coincidentally feels like she has the same problem. When she dates somebody and they break up, that person goes on to find their soulmate. So they connect with each other via Reddit because of this particular aspect of their lives. Emma happens to be a travel nurse, so she is never in one particular place for a long time. She and her best friend have built a lifestyle out of traveling to to different places all over the world and working in various hospitals. So this time around, she finds herself getting a job in a hospital that is located in Justin City. And of course, while she's there, the two meet and they decide to date each other because they believe that maybe if they date each other, the sort of curse that they have of being the person you need to date and break up with so that you can find your soulmate will be cancelled. And yes, I feel like describing it right now, it sounds so insta love, but again, I say the book blurb does not do this story justice, and now that I think about it, I do not know if I've done it justice by explaining what the story is about, but it is just wonderful. I was wowed, I was floored when I was done reading this book. It was just, you know, we always read books because we're chasing that high that you get when you read a really good book, and I got that high after reading this book. And the last book, which is Broken Not a Halal Love Story by Fatima Bala. This is a love story between two individuals who are Muslim, and it was so fun and nice to read about this because their religious beliefs and cultural beliefs really do inform how they, I suppose, interact in a romantic capacity. And I'm not Muslim, I do not have Muslim friends, so I don't know much about the religion, so just learning new things about Islam was really fun. And I wish we had more diverse books that are more popular, because it would be so nice if you pick a popular romance book and you are in this culture, and then you pick a different romance book and you're in a different culture, and you learn so much about just different aspects of cultures in different places of the world. We essentially follow our main character, Faiza Mohammed, and she is Nigerian and she comes from a very privileged background, but she has also led a very sheltered life. She relocates to Canada to study law, and that is where she meets Ahmed. Ahmed is also from Nigeria, but I think years back when he was still a kid or a teenager, his family relocated to Canada, and that is where they stay for the rest of the story. Ahmed's mom happens to be best friends with Faiza's mom, so when Faiza relocates to Canada, Ahmed's mom decides to look after Faiza in a way, or just be the family that she needs in Canada, because otherwise she would be all alone. And that is how the two main characters meet, and slowly a romantic relationship starts to blossom. What was very interesting about this is that we're following characters who make their life choices based off of the cultural expectations and also religious expectations that they subscribe to. So in the story, as the title tells you, it's called Broken Not a Halal Love Story. And that is because the author does challenge some of these things. She does cross boundaries in terms of how these two characters date. They challenge the expectations that are placed upon people who are in romantic relationships, and they do cross some of these boundaries, and it's so interesting to see how the psychology is affected because they are going against what they have been raised to believe. So personally, I had no idea that it is so different for people who are Muslim to date. It was very shocking for me to find out that any kind of touching is considered, I think the word is haram. So like hugging is not a thing that is acceptable. Something that I would think is very just normal. When you say hi to somebody, you can decide to say hi to them through hugging. But this was something that was not acceptable in that culture and is genuinely frowned upon. It's a very nice read if you're looking for a cute love story that does not have spice. It is centered in Canada, and yeah, the one thing that I would say I found annoying is that this author name drops so many times it becomes unbearable. She will give you a brand name for everything. The coffee that they drink has to be a name that is a brand that is popular. It's either Starbucks or Tim Hortons. The lip gloss that she wears has to be designer. The workout clothes that she has have to be Lululemon or just another popular brand. It got tiring, and at some point it did feel like it was maybe a desperate attempt for her to appeal to a bigger audience as opposed to people who would relate to like characters with a Muslim background or a Nigerian or African background. But really, I feel like she did not have to do all that. It's a story that's very much easy to read and enjoy. And another shocking thing that I found out is that this is a Wattpad story. You know, Wattpad gets a lot of bad credit for having terrible books, which is true, but like this is a very decent book and I can see why it was taken from Wattpad. I have no regrets reading this. I am so glad I came across it. It's a breath of fresh air to read about characters with such a diverse background from mine and just from the popular romance books that often get more attention compared to such books. So there you have it, my 5 romance book recommendations for any time you're in the mood for a love story. Thank you so much for watching and let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought. And if you have your own recommendations of romance books that are worth reading, feel free to leave them on the comment section below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel for bookish content.